If you're trying to scale your tax planning firm in 2026 and beyond, this is how to do it. Go from $0 to $1 million a year. Hey, my name is Dan, and over the last 36 months or so, we've taken a business from $0 to $10 million in 36 months. And we have seen over 50,000 tax firms. And so this is the thing that I have seen oftentimes that needs to happen for you to scale a tax planning, tax advisory firm past $1 million. So number one, you need a premium tax planning offer. Now, this is something that you can charge $15,000 to $30,000 per year per client. Okay. So right now in the industry, there's really 5 ways to charge for this particular service. Number one is you charge per percentage of fees. Now, some people try to get away with this, but if you're a CPA, you can't get away with it. You know you can't do that due to Circular 230. But there's ways around it, but that's not probably a good way to do it. But percentage of savings is kind of like this. If I can help you save $100,000 in taxes, I will charge you 10% of the savings that I'll make you. Sounds good in theory, but there's the flaw of the CPA is performance-based, right? You can't do that. Number two is charge per strategy. So for an example, if you set up someone on an S Corp and they're just a sole prop right now, and you're going to save them payroll taxes or whatever, you charge them $1,500 for that setup. Well, that sounds good in theory, but the problem is, let's say, for example, this is what we call the a la carte method. So the a la carte method is like you charge for a tax strategy, which is the S Corp. Then you charge them to set them up as a real estate professional. Then you charge them for hiring their kids. Then you charge them for Augusta role. Then you charge them for this and that and all the other things. And the problem with that, the flaw in that, is that it works a little bit, but after a couple of times of doing this, your client is going to feel like you're just selling them the next thing, and they never feel like you're actually delivering true value. You're always just trying to sell something for a little bit of dollars. And so that in itself is a flaw. Number three is you charge per hour. Now I see big firms like KPMG or anything like that do this, and they do this pretty successfully. But the problem with that is that these big tax firms or big accounting firms, the only reason why they can do that, and they'll do the work and then they come back to you and they say, hey, we did the work. Here's an invoice for all the hours that I did. I charged $250 an hour. I did 5 hours. You do the math. And that's good for those big firms because they have thousands of accountants that work for them. But for someone like you and me that doesn't have a big company like that, or doesn't have a bunch of accountants working for us, we have to do things differently. So charging per hour is actually diminishing your ability to do anything else, because that 1 hour you're working with them, well, you can't be working with anybody else. And therein lies the flaw. You're spreading yourself thin again. Okay? And number 4 is the worst one of all. You don't charge at all, and you give away all this information for free. And when the client doesn't get a result, or if they get a partial result, who do you think they're going to blame? For the advice you're giving them, and it didn't work, or it kind of worked, but they messed it up. Who do you think they're going to blame? They're going to say, you told me to do an S Corp, but you didn't help me do this. And then becomes an adversarial problem with you and the client. And so now the client didn't do it completely. They tried, and you gave away free advice, and nobody won. The client's mad, you're mad because you didn't get paid, and the IRS is the only one that won. So that's the worst one. But there's a 5th way, is what we call program-based pricing. Now what that is you're helping a client for a particular service stack. Meaning, it's like, these are the deliverables that you get as a result of working with me. Now, you're buying a strategist, you're not buying a strategy. That's a totally different thing. Strategies are come and go. A strategist is someone that's there to wrap all this thing in a bow. Okay? So when you're working with a strategist, you're packaging it correctly, and whether the client wins 100,000 or 100 million, there's no difference in fee. Now, this works really, really well when you're trying to scale a team. This works really, really well when you're trying to streamline operations, because everything is the same. Think about it like Amazon, or think about it like, like Amazon. The reason why Amazon can scale is because there's products. Services are very hard to scale. Products are relatively easy to scale because they're a set thing. And when you can productize your service, like what I'm telling you about, then it becomes much more valuable because it's a thing. You've documented your thing into a thing. And now you can charge accordingly. Okay? So that's number one. That's the first thing you're gonna need. Number two, for a tax firm, you need marketing system, a predictable way to get customers over and over and over and over. Now, I've seen a lot of tax firms, and there's really only 3 ways that you're going to get more customers through marketing. Number one is warm outreach, meaning you reach out to the customers that you currently have and upgrade them to tax planning. Very simple process. We had someone come through and they did $450,000 in new cash revenue in under 4 months. And so that was all money that was just sitting in their book of business, added an additional $500,000 or thereabouts. We had another CPA that came through, and in just under 5 months, they did $850,000 from their current tax customers to get to that next level. Okay, that's warm. The third thing is cold outreach. Now, you can do outbound emails and or LinkedIn outreach or Facebook outreach to these wealthy individuals, and you tell them, hey, I think I can help you save money on taxes. Would you be open to a call or open to conversation about that? So that one's just a numbers game, okay? And that one works to some degree, but it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of people. It takes things that it's going to require more stuff than just, you're going to have to iterate through it. And to be fair, that's a good thing. But it's hard to scale because the more you scale, the more people you need, okay? Now, there's a third way, which is the ultimate way you want to go as a tax firm, is you want to go from warm, and then you want to go to paid advertisement. Now, paid advertisement is you put $1 in, you get $1 out, right? Now, most people do it incorrectly because they pay for this $1 and they try to get people they push out the ads, and the ads suck, and their targeting sucks, and their offer sucks. And the problem is that they're not even attracting the right people. Now, I've just seen enough data. I've seen I'm looking at this here. I've seen over $750,000 in ad spend and marketing spend, and has generated over $2.3 million in new revenue tax planning just from paid ads. So I'm looking at this right now, and I can tell you that there is a predictable way to get customers. If you just increase the ad spend and it works correctly, you just keep going, okay? So that's the second thing you're gonna need on your path to $1 million, okay? And you need it in this order: the tax planning offer, the marketing thing, and then the sales system. Now, the sales system is how you bring someone in. You take someone from click to cash. So from the time that they engage with you to the time that they give you your first $1 and your second $1, we talked about that earlier in this call or this video, is you need to have that program-based pricing that we talked about, number 5. And that program-based pricing, basically what that is you bring them in, you charge them for the tax plan, then you charge them a separate fee to help them implement that thing. Now, the thesis there is very simply this. If you go to the doctor charges you for labs just to evaluate you. Then once they evaluate you, they give you a prescription and a diagnosis, and they give you a plan to implement. Now, when you come to the doctor, you get those labs, and the doctor says, okay, you're going to pay for these labs. You're going to come back. I'm going to analyze these labs, and then I'm going to present them to you and tell you what my prognosis is. Very similar in the tax strategy space. You do the same thing. That's what our thesis is, and that's what that's our core competency right there around that. And so it's very similar to acting as though a consultative than it is to pushing a service on someone. It's like, I'm consulting you on your best practices to help you save money on taxes doing these strategies here. Once they do that, they're presented with 2 offers. They say, do you want our help or do you want to do it yourself? 6 times out of 10, they're going to say, hey, I would rather do it with you. What does that look like? Well, it's $15,000 for the next 12 months. Or it's $20,000 for the next 12 months. Whatever the pricing looks like for you, but back to the first point is you need to have a premium offer. Okay? And those 3 things right there stacked together are how people like Sanjay has added an extra $500,000 in under 4 months. How Tammy has added $850,000 in just under 6 months. How Maribel went from basically $2.3 to $2.7 million. How Charles went from $0 to $1.3 million a year. How Kyle went from $0 to $1.6 million a year. How Purvi added an additional, went from $10,000 a month to $80,000 a month within 4 months, and many, many others. So if you're looking for that installed into your particular practice right now, or your firm, or your financial firm, or your tax firm, then all I want you to do is just really click the link below or send me a message that they say you want help. So